It's what you make me see. Become what you believe. We have the faith to stand alone. When I am here with you, touch me, I know it's true. Don't have to do this on my own. It's what you make me see. Become what you believe. We have the faith to stand alone. When I am here with you, touch me, I know it's true. Don't have to do this on my own.
Today is the 26th day of July, 2017. This is the House of Hidalgo show, and I am your host, Rick Dehijo Benya. And today is a beautiful day here in Salem, South Dakota. As I look around, the weather is in the 80s. Hardly a cloud in the sky. Got a good storm last night. Fed the plants. Garden's looking beautiful. Lush. Fantastic here at the estate of Dehijo. What you're seeing before your eyes is my website, therockofsalem.org. I thought I would do a little session to orient people to the website that you can go to for answers as to what the intent of this show is. One thing that we're wanting to show people is that you have a choice of how you govern yourself in America. As I've said on past episodes, you can govern yourself by public policy. That's easy. All you got to do is just sign everything they give you, and you've done that. Or you can govern yourself by learning how to operate in commercial paper and being able to prove that you are a titled individual, one who owns their title. So we're going to discuss a lot of the details of this thing today. I do want to say right off the bat, this is not a commercial expenditure. Okay, this is not a commercial event. What this is a common license. Okay, it's a common understanding that I'm putting forth, and it is not for sale. I do not sell it. I do not peddle it. I do not advise people to do it. I'm just showing you what I've done, and in doing so, I believe what I'm setting up for myself and for my family is something long and lasting and with the potential for perpetuity. So what you're seeing is the home page of the website. This is the Dehijo website. That is my shield. It is copyrighted, and it is mine. It's being used on all of the paperwork. Everything that comes forth from the throne of Dehijo has this mark upon it, demonstrating in a clear and concise way that this belongs to this house. If you just see it, it's like a brand. It means it's mine. It means it belongs to the members of my house. And you can't use it, so don't try to use it. But what you can do is for informational and educational purposes only. You can come to this website and you can look around. If you see something that you like, do something similar to it. You can do that all day long. I do want to give a quick shout out to my buddy Oscar Heff, who wrote that beautiful song that we listened to at the introduction of the show. Thanks again, Oscar. Gotta always remember to put that in there, because Oscar's doing us a great favor by lending us that song to use as our intro. Also, I want to get back to what we're doing here. This is the official site of our tribal government. And by tribal government, I'm talking about our house. And as you can see, the signet ring on the page is our new signet ring. I did have that made. You can go to the information page to find out who made that. I have it in my useful links. You can go, I think it's custommade.com. They made that ring for me, and I do use it on internal paperwork or anything that I want to present to another jurisdiction in a formal manner. I'll use that signet ring and seal it in wax. I want you to notice that I have several links going down the right side of the page, and the About Us page really is just a story. We were known as the House of Hidalgo throughout the centuries, and here recently, because of the corruption of the name Hidalgo, my branch of the family decided that we were going to reverse Hijo de algo, which means son of something, and flip it around to Hijo or de Hijo, and leave the algo part off, because we're really no longer from algo. We are de Hijo, in other words, of the Son. And the Son we're talking about, of course, is the Son of God. He is our King. He is our magistrate. He is our everything. He's a great physician. And he is alive and well. And I, being one of his ambassadors, have set up this embassy to do his work. So we've got the House of Hijo. We've got an About Us page which talks about how we came about the name Hijo. Then you're going to see a very important page called Acts and Resolutions, and I do want to take you there. But if you look, you mouse over Acts and Resolutions, there's another one called the Hall of Records. I want to go there first. The Hall of Records is our Custodia Legis. We are proper, true custodians of every record here. We hold the original titles to every single organization listed. It is in our possession, in our safe, in our records. Okay? And what I'm going to do is, for the purposes of demonstrating what that looks like, the title to an individual's organization, I'm going to click on my own as the paterfamilias of the family, which I encourage you to look up these words. They have significant meanings. Okay, this is my public recording. And for those of you that think that public recordings need to be done at a county courthouse, I want to warn you that the county courthouse could be under a set of presumptions that if you register something with them, that they are now the official custodian of record, and I don't want that presumption to be held in my particular case. So I am the custodian of the record, and I publicly record them here. If it needs to be publicly recorded, I record it here because I want the world to see. Those people who would say, well, you're not publicly recording it unless you put it into the county, I differ. I beg to differ on that, because if I were to, say, slander somebody on my website, just think of your favorite congressman or your not so favorite congressman, and let's say that somebody suggested that they were a pedophile, and you put that on your website. How quick do you suppose the word would get out that you are that you're ruining someone's character? How quick do you think before you're contacted by an agency of the United States corporation to either charge you with some violation or to solicit you in some other way? How quick do you think it's going to happen? It's going to happen rather quickly, because when you throw something up to the net, it's automatically recorded. It's archived, and the history is out there. You can't pull it back. Okay? So when I proclaim or make a declaration or want to record something publicly, this is where I come. I come to the website. I wanted to explain that very thoroughly. As you can see, it was prepared by me in my natural born name, Eugene Richard Hidalgo. And you got my address, and you got a simple statement that this is done in a non-representative capacity. In other words, I am the principal, and I am without the United States. So there are no implied statutory, admiralty, any other implied jurisdiction cannot be implied here, because I'm without the United States. Foreign. You'll see my recorded on stamp on the top right hand corner. That is our filing system. We have a recording system ourselves. I'll show you how I created that recording system in a little bit, but we do have a recording system. And this top page is our counter deed. Go look up the word counter deed. I like the definition of counter deed. It destroys the public deed. And if the public deed is corrupted, it needs to be destroyed, right? So, just for information, educational purposes only. Second of all, if you look at the counter deed and look what it's saying, it makes it very clear that we are expecting that all encumbrances are going to be released. All entanglements are going to be released. That we now, as the true owners, having obtained the age of the majority and having come to our senses and understanding that we can self-govern, now are applying this counter deed to our ownership document. The next page is a simple declaration by Affidavit of Ownership. There you can see the state filing number for the certificate of live birth. You can see the Department of State file number, which is the Florida number. Or in this case, it's California. I was born in California. But there's your state of California authenticated date. That's the date it was authenticated there, and the date it was authenticated up by Mr. John F. Kerry. I think it's F, but John Kerry anyhow, at the Department of State. And it pretty much just communicates that I am the owner of this document, just as the Secretary of State has made it known, and I'll show you that too. This is just a true and correct copy of the of my ownership document. So I had it attested to by a notary, and it's a true and correct document. Now you'll notice that they're riveted together. You see the rivet mark up in the top left-hand corner of the page. If you separate them, it makes the whole thing null and void. It is riveted. It must stay riveted at all times. There's a filing number up on the top, and then it begins to tell you a little bit about the document. That it is annexed and under the seal of the state of California, and that such seals are entitled to full faith and credit. If you understand what that's saying, if you understand what annexation is, annexation going from the public to the private or from one jurisdiction to another. Also, there's a statement here. There's the Great Seal in the statement by John F. Kerry being made at the city of Washington, District of Columbia. And then there are a set of laws down in the left-hand corner of the page that you've got to read and you've got to fully understand. What you're holding is submittable as evidence because you're holding an original. This authentication process creates an original document. You can now correct the record, and you can make sure that those who need to know understand that you own this organization. It's an organization because there are many attributes to the name that you were given at birth. It was registered. There's a trust side of it. There's an estate side of it. There's all kinds of sides to it. So the best way to frame it so that you'll understand what I'm trying to communicate is it's an organization. So this is the organization that I own. That's the back of the seal on the back of the page. There's the state of California. There's our seal. There's the back of the state of California seal. And there's the county registrar. Gotta get rid of these notifications. Anyway, basically, what I want you to see is I want you to see something on this birth certificate that really needs to be understood. Number one, right, where's it at? Right here. My birth date, September the 7th, 1971. The date of the date of registration, September the 30th, 1971. That doesn't just mean that they have that's the day that they completed the registration. That's the date that the organization was registered. That's the birth date of the organization. It's a different birthday than yours, always is. You'll see that on every single certificate of live birth. And that's pretty much that. I just wanted you to see that, how it's put together in such a way with a counter deed to where you're the holder in due course of the original document, you're the custodian of the document, and you have the authority now as the owner of the document to lead and guide that organization into such governance as you choose. You do know that people are constantly expatriating from the United States. I don't advise that. I'm not going to expatriate because I have a birthright. I was born in California. I have a birthright to be here, to be in the United States, and but I don't have to operate with the United States. I can choose to operate without. Commercially speaking, there's a difference. And for those of you that might try to troll me, being that my dad is from Cuba. I want to let you know that he served in the United States military, and his oath came before my birth. So, but he had to serve out his time before he became naturalized, of course. Anyway, that's the Hall of Record. You can see that for every single member of the House. And then, like I said, there's acts and resolutions. When you go there, these are the acts and resolutions. Now, you're not going to understand the acts and resolutions unless you go to the home page and go to the bottom of the home page and understand this. Qualifications of Founding. I want to explain this kind of thoroughly, but yet as quickly as I possibly can, because I don't want to take too long in this video. Qualifications of Founding and International Declaration of Tribal Existence, Establishment, and Tax-Exempt Status by Judicial Notice. What exactly is this document? This document is stating simply that this House declares that from this day forward, that it is the House of Dehesio. You'll see that a little bit further down in the document here. Tribal name, Dehesio. That's the tribal name. And then as you go down, it starts to enumerate all of the testings. Let me explain testings. In the United States, there is an entity who keeps very good records, but is constantly scrutinizing the records of every organization, agency, individual in the United States. They are better known as the Internal Revenue Service. The Internal Revenue Service has a checklist that they use to test whether an organization truly is a tax-exempt organization, or better yet, a religious organization that is not taxable by default. This is not a 501c3. This is a absolute, without question, natural organization that its duty is to a religious purpose, and it falls under what you might call a 508. It's not a 501c3 or any kind of designation whatsoever, tax-wise. When you go down through this counters every one of those tests. Every single one of those tests are met with an answer, and then there are amendments and definitions. And these amendments and definitions are meant for clarification and to let people know, especially those who do the bookkeeping as far as status goes in the United States, exactly how we operate and what our where we're coming from. So this is a declaration. We chose to make the declaration right on the front page of our public access, and we made the declaration back in the year 2015. As you can see, it is September the 4th, 2015 when this declaration was made. Signed in front of a notary for the purpose of attesting to our and witnessing our signature. Which is somewhere here. Where's the notary page? Anyway, it's here somewhere. It's down towards the bottom. I keep missing it because I'm going through this rather oddly. I'm not seeing it right now, but it is there. There is a notary page. And maybe I just forgot to forgot to put that page in here. I will remedy that if that's the case. We'll see. Okay. Anyway, this is the that's what that is. That is the declaration. And then there's Instrumentalities. Instrumentalities is a page where I list the different instrumentalities that I use under the house to effectively give information or education out to people. These are all different parts of it. We have a YouTube channel. We have a church. We have a university. We have the Rock of Salem, and we have DignaChat. DignaChat is something new. It's membership based. When you become a member of DignaChat, it entitles you to be to work with us in ensuring that your house building goes correctly. And so that's something that you could do if you want to engage with us. Then, of course, there's the contact page and the useful links. Trade agreements are those national trade agreements that are made, and state trade agreement that was made. I consider the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of California to be both obligations to me, because as one of we the people, we wrote it, belongs to us, it's ours, and it is a trade agreement. And the agreement is that they will protect our unalienable rights, and that we in turn delegate them certain very limited powers. And they've gone a little bit overboard with that. Anyhow, that's a look at our website. If you have any questions or any comments that you want to make, feel free to email me. I think my email is on that contact page. I think. Oh, there's any comments there. You can fill that out and send it. It'll come to me, and just let me know if there's any questions, or if you see something that you think needs to be addressed. You can shoot it to me. I encourage you to look at the acts and resolutions, as we have set up based on the qualifications of founding. We have set up a governance. We have a family council, and the family council meets and decides on legislation for the family as to how we're going to act and operate. How we act is an act. Anything we resolve becomes a resolution. It's pretty simple stuff. Okay, it's just called self-governing. And there's a lot more to come. Stuff I can't talk about on the internet, but obviously I'm always got ideas of where it needs to go from here, because the scriptures communicate with us that we have to come into unity at some point. So there's a lot to do, a lot to talk about, a lot to move forward with. But I wanted to get that out to you, the listener base. And if it helps you, it helps you. If it doesn't, well, then, go somewhere else. But I just wanted to say thanks for listening. Please continue to share. Make sure you like and subscribe